afternoon, Van Investment Partners, Business Finance and Infinite Banking group members. Good afternoon. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to join in. I'll be doing the live today by myself. My business partner is not with us today. So bear with me, it'll be just me. But it's going to be an exciting one. So join in and we should be able to start in about a minute or so. Shouldn't be a long one, like I said. I'm doing this one by myself. But I'm happy to be here and I'm happy to see a couple of you already in and joined in the live. Let's start in a few minutes. Join in, and you're welcome. Those who are just coming in, welcome. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for being here with us. And we are just about to start. And give it a couple of more seconds, and then we'll be on with our topic for today. All right. And thanks for joining in. Like I said, thank you for being here. Lee is not with us today. He had another meeting that he needed to attend to. So he's not joining us today. I will be doing this session today by myself, of course, with you guys. And I hope it's going to be as informative as all our previous go lives have been. Today, I want to address a couple of myths or misconceptions that are out there in the industry about business credit, and maybe one or two about cash value life insurance as well. As you know, we formed this platform so that we can share with you business insights and help all business owners be in a position where they are able to establish business credit and use that business credit so that they can get more funding outside of their personal identities. That way, you have that distinction between your personal funds and your business funds, and you can genuinely transact as a business. And that should be help you to get funds or get more funding for your business growth. One of the other things that we also do, or one of the other reasons why we formed this, was so that we can share with you also other ways in which you can also be in a position where you have access to funds, and that is through a cash value life insurance. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about both of these and really be focused more on the misconceptions that we find out there about whether it's business credit or cash value life insurance, or using your cash value life insurance to fund your business. Now, one of the misconceptions that I hear a lot is that you need to have perfect credit or good credit to be able to get a business loan. Now, there is a distinction between a business credit and your personal credit. Your personal credit, as we've said before, as many of you already know, is really based out of your FICO score. It's your FICO score. It's based off of how credible you are as an individual and how worthy are you as an individual with regards to your commitments to pay any debts that you have. Whereas your business credit has nothing to do with your social security number. It is based off of the business. So it's based off of your EIN number, right? And your business credit, once it has been established, gives you access to request or to ask for funding or apply for funding using that and only that. So when people say, well, do I need to have a perfect credit to be able to apply for funding, that means immediately you are already looking at credit that is based off of your personal or FICO score. And immediately that says, no, you're not supposed to be looking for business funding using your personal score. You can still have a not so great personal score and establish your business credit and have a great paydex score. And when you are looking for funding for your business, to use your paydex score and still get credit, because now you are just relying on the credit that is for the business, not for you as an individual. All right, so that myth is not true. Yes, I'll say as you establish your business credit, a lot of times you may find that initially they may look into your personal credit. However, that does not mean that you are now going forward going to be relying on your personal credit to establish your business credit. Your business credit is independent of your personal credit, and you can and you are able to get funding based solely or entirely off of your business credit once that has been established correctly. All right. The second myth that I tend to hear a lot is people say business credit and personal credit are pretty much the same, because at the end of the day, the common denominator is you as the business owner. Similar to what we just talked about, that myth is also not correct. A business entity is able to stand on its own, and it's able to operate on its own outside of you as an individual. So, as an individual, if I walk into a store today and I go and purchase, say, a couch, that's a couch that I use my personal credit, and I buy that couch for myself, for my home, for my own use, right? So, of course, that's going to use my personal credit. However, as a business owner, when I walk into a store, for example, and say um, I buy an office desk. That office desk is the property or used for the business. So in essence, it's an asset of the business. It is not a property that I will say it's for me personally. Now, once you have that distinction and understanding that there are certain things that are yours for you for your personal consumption, and there are things that are for the business or are assets of the business, and you have that distinction and operate under those distinctions, then yes, your business and your personal credit are going to be separate. They're not going to be the same thing. They may even not they may they have different values. Your personal will have your FICO score, whereas your business is going to have a paydex score, and they're both calculated differently. They're both reported differently. They're both maintained differently. They're both regulated differently. So there is a distinction between those two. What is important is to ensure that when you own a business or when you register a business or as you are trading as a business, that you just don't commingle your funds, to make sure that your business can stand on its own and your personal life can also be separated from your business. All right, another or the third myth that I tend to hear out there is a lot of times you'll hear people who will say that business credit is not real. It's not real because, and they say business credit is not real because it's dependent on you as an individual. Now, there are companies out there that offer business credit. Do they advertise as much as your other companies that offer you personal credit? No, they do not. And think about it. When you get personal credit, most of the time, you as the person who's getting that credit, you are personally liable. So a company that's going to offer you that personal credit, they know that you are personally liable if you're not able to make your payment commitments. However, when a business has applied for credit and a business is given funds based off of the entity itself, there's no personal liability in that instance. A lot of companies that do offer you that type of funding, they will not readily be advertising themselves as much as the companies that offer you personal funding, because they know that as a company, there is no personal liability. So if payments are not made, they cannot come after you individually. So there are not as many that out there that you see advertising that we offer business credit, come and apply for business credit. Let's take a typical example. We are into real estate, so I'll pick Lowe's. Lowe's has credit for businesses. You can actually apply for a credit card for the business that is under the business that uses your EIN number versus your personal number. And that credit is used by the business for daily transactions or whatever transactions your business may be needing. And that's the type of credit that a business needs, because at the end of the day, as you transact, those transactions are reported to the reporting agencies that help maintain and update your paydex score, right? And that's one of the things that a lot of times people miss, where they say, well, I do have this credit card, and on the name, it does have my business name in there. Does that mean that's business credit? You have to look at it. You have to be sure that it is, because sometimes, yes, the card has the business name. However, that card is tied to you personally. So when you do make these applications, you have to make sure that if you are saying, I have a card, I have a business card that I use for transactions, you have to make sure that that card is tied to the EIN of the business versus your social security number. There has to be that distinction. So, yes, you have to be careful to make sure that whoever that you are applying credit for is actually a business that, one, offers business credit, and two, that actually reports to agencies that report on your paydex score. Not every business does that. We've said this numerous times before that when we first started our business back in 2016, we actually had credit cards, and some of them, as a matter of fact, all of them had the business name. However, they were tied to us personally. So they were not reporting to show that, yes, we are building credit and this is what our paydex score was. And that meant that whenever we needed to ask for funding, whether we approached a bank, we were not able to get funding because they did not find any score that was associated with the business. They could find credit scores or credit worthiness that was associated to us individually. However, we did not want to get credit for the business under us personally. So just be careful when you do some of these applications for credit cards, especially credit cards for business. A lot of times you'll be told, yes, this is your business card, but it's still tied to you as an individual. And just talking about this, there is another myth that aligns with this where sometimes you hear individuals who will say, okay, so are there really any businesses out there that do report to the bureaus so that they can report on your paydex score? And yes, there are. Not many, not all of them do. Some of them will tell you, yes, we do record, but they do not, and there's no way for you to actually keep track and make sure that yes, they are keeping that part of the bag. And we've fallen into that trap before where we had started exploring where can we get credit from for the business. And a lot of times they would tell you, yes, we do report, and only to find out as time goes on that actually they do not. So just bear that in mind. And when you are in this process of establishing your credit, make sure that whoever you transact with or whoever you open up trade lines with, that they do indeed offer or report your payments to credit bureaus that are responsible for managing business credit. It's uh, it's a lot that you would have to do. That is why there are companies such as what we do who help you with identifying the companies that actually do report and help you with the process of establishing your business credit and monitoring that business credit to make sure that at any given point you know where your business credit is and you know what you may be able and not able to do based off of where your rankings are based off of your paydex score. And then another myth that I wanted to talk about also, as we are talking about just generally funding in businesses. One of the ways that we talk with our clients about is accessing cash value life insurance and using that to be able to fund your business as well. Two myths that I typically hear about. The first one is that uh, whenever you get funds from your insurance, that the interest rate is usually higher than if you were to get a personal loan. Now, this is also a myth or misconception. Most of the time, when you do get your loan through your cash value life insurance, that interest rate is usually less than what you would get if you went to a bank and looked for a loan and your loan was based off of the interest rate. And as an example, and as just me being transparent, one of my policies that I have, I that we usually use has an interest rate of 4%. And for me or for us, for our business, it's a no-brainer for me to be able to get funding at 4% versus if I went out to the market. Lord knows what's the interest rate right now, but I can tell you it's not 4%. It's way more than that. So you want to be sure that you know the correct information. And part of knowing that correct information is when you do look into some of these policies, ask or find out beforehand what those interest rates are, just so that you go in already knowing and prepared for what those interest rates are going to be. The other misconception that we hear a lot is a lot of business owners sometimes will say, hey, trying to get any policies or anything of that sort can and is pretty expensive. All right. So, what I typically would say to clients is, that's something that's relative, right? Everybody has a budget, and your policy is going to be structured based on your own budget. It's gone are the days when, you would walk in and your expectation would be, okay, you are going to get something for 300,000, and if you can, sorry, for $300, and if you cannot get it for $300, that means you cannot qualify or you cannot get a policy. Policies are based off of you as an individual on your budget. When you structure the policy, it is structured based off of how much you can afford. And it's a process that we can sit down and go through to see what disposable. Do we have any places where we have what we usually would term unused funds that we can shift from maybe certain payments to allow you to be able to have funds that you can use to purchase a policy. And what I mean by that is sometimes in certain instances, you may find that, let's say you have a credit card that you pay on a monthly basis, and your minimum payment is, say, $100. You as a person may opt to pay 150 versus $100, right? We may look at things like that and say, okay, if we are able to maintain this payment of $100 and shift the $50 that you would have paid more into a policy, how would that look like? How much cash would we be able to accumulate now in this policy that you are paying $50 for on a monthly basis? How much would that look like? And would we be able to possibly even be able to get or accumulate enough cash to be able to now pay off some of your debts, right? Reducing that $100 that you were initially paying for your bills to now something a little bit less because you've been able to divert that extra $50 that you were paying to now own a policy and then pull out the cash value or get a loan from your policy to now use to go and make a bigger payment on whatever debts that you may have. So there's always sessions where we're going to sit down and have a look at your numbers to see what works best. And ultimately, you as a policy holder, you will make a decision then to say, okay, this amount works for me, I'm comfortable here, and this is what I can afford, and this is the type of policy that I could get. It's a misconception just that, hey, all insurance is just expensive, or no, I cannot afford it, when you haven't actually sat down and ran the numbers. And as a matter of fact, I was just reading an article this morning that was talking about how about uh, about that the article was actually talking about how typically people overestimate the cost of insurance, and they overestimate usually by 3x. So there is no harm in you finding out first, then you can decide, okay, this is expensive and I cannot afford it under any circumstances. That's a different situation. But don't have the misconception that it's going to be expensive until you've explored it, to look at it and understand what your options are. All right. So I've talked quite a bit, and I just wanted to address some of the misconceptions that I know are out there, and I would love for you to also send me any that you know of or that you have heard, and we can address those. It's this should be more of a learning experience. I want you to be able and comfortable to say, hey, this is what I hear, this is what I know, right? And let's see whether there's truth in it, or whether it's completely false, or whether it's actually true, right? So if you do know, or if you are aware of any other misconceptions or myths, or if there are any questions that you would like to ask, so that you have a better understanding of what business credit is, how establishing business credit works, and how you can get access to more funds and more funding for your business, whether it's through banks, whether it's through a policy or cash value life insurance that you may have. If you have any of those, send them through to us. Our address is info@valueinvestmentpartners.com. You can send us an email. You can reach us over the phone. You can scan the barcode also on your screen right now. That's another way of contacting us. So there's ample ways that you can contact us, but I'll give you a few minutes if there's any questions out there. If anybody wants to ask anything, a few minutes. But if not, thank you so much for being with us again today. It's been great. We look forward to the next session when Lee's going to be here as well. I'm not sure what he's going to want to talk about. However, we know that whatever it is, it will still be something valuable that you can use to continue building your own business, to continue also being in a position where you're able to grow your business and get access to the funds that we all need. As business owners, we can all agree that cash is king. We all need cash, whether it's to grow the business, whether it's to meet short term or long term commitments that we all have. So you have nothing to lose. If anything, whatever you learn in these sessions, you can go and apply. You can share with other business owners out there and continue growing as a business because you learn from others as well as you share with others so that we can all grow together. All right, without any other questions out there, thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you next week. It was a short one this time. However, I hope that I was able to share valuable information with you. Stay in touch. Let us know any other questions that you may have. Otherwise, I will see you again next week, same time, 1 p.m. Eastern. We'll be here again and sharing with you some business insights. Thank you so much. Have a good one. All right. Bye bye.